What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Ace of Base, as well as a very sleepy and stretching Luca, and we're returning to the bonus folder, or the expanded folder rather, for material from the era of their album Flowers, 1998, and we're going to listen to a tune that apparently was on the US version of the album only, and that is Whenever You're Near Me. So yeah, it sounds like part of a larger expression, and my inclination is to think it will be positive. Whenever you're near me, I light up, or I feel a special connection, I feel a warmth, I feel mesmerized or otherwise taken with you. Of course, it could be on the other end of the spectrum. Whenever you're near me, I feel pain, maybe a relationship that's over, but there's still some proximity. But yes, on the surface of it, and all other things being equal, I would expect it to be a more positive association or proximal description. In any case, let's see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Ace of Base. The tune is Whenever You're Near Me, which apparently is a US only release or track that was on the US version of the album, which is 1998's Flowers. I like that one a lot. So, okay, first I'll try to speak to the sonics, because there were several little details that I thought were really well done. Number one, it has a bit of their reggae synth pop feel, but also some other elements that gave it a slightly different flavor than maybe their most famous hits in that style. Meaning there was a bit of, I don't know if I should say folksy guitar, but there was some guitar, both acoustic and I think electric, that gave it a bit more of a pop rock type of feel. There were also some really interesting synth parts that were minor in terms of their role in the larger sonic atmosphere or their duration, but which really stood out to me. Most notably, that flourishing electro synth, almost not quite like a theremin, but there was this really rapidly rising synth riff which had a very electric sound. That was maybe my favorite part. There was also a bit of a, I think, synth string flourish that came around a couple times. I noticed it in the middle of the track or leading into the second half of the tune. And then in the latter stages, there was this almost computerish, bleepy type of quick melodic riff that stood out in the background as well. And it's a telling indication that my mind goes to trance and techno. But I've talked about in a lot of trance and techno reactions, and just in my mind in relation to those genres that I've spent many years mixing as a DJ, sometimes an element that is, again, quantitatively or in terms of its overall role in the larger sonic structure is comparatively small or minimal, but it's just that little ingredient, that little spice sonically that really takes the track to another level and it punches beyond its weight or is more than you would expect in terms of the way it helps your appreciation of the tune. And those little elements, that synth flourish that was rising in particular, I think that really served that role in this track. I also enjoy there was a moment in the latter stages where it seemed to add an extra bar, or it had a little bit of a halting transition or double transition into the chorus again, and when it went into the chorus again, it seemed to rise, like, I don't know if it was a different key, but it felt like the impact of the incoming measure and chorus in that last iteration had a slightly different feel, a more triumphant type of feel to it. So sonically, I thought that was really compelling, in some ways similar to their wheelhouse sonically, and then in a couple other details and elements, maybe a bit beyond what I think of as their vintage or most famous sound. Lyrically, it's interesting because it sounds like I'm in two minds. Like, number one, it sounds like a person who is touched and turned on, I guess, both emotionally and perhaps more physically by this other person, and it sounds again like the other person can make them feel in a way that nobody else can do. And talking about feeling someone's heart, of course that can be emotional, but it could also relate to tactile intimacy and feeling someone's body pressed against you to the point where you can literally feel their beating heart, which can relate to excitement on multiple levels. So it feels like the song is maybe using different tiers of emotion and intimacy to convey the point that this other person really takes them to a place that nobody else does whenever they're around. But that line specifically about, what was it, trying to remember or trying to believe? It was about like trying to believe, and one of the responses to that setup was, be my lover or be my friend. I forget exactly the phrasing, but that of course can cut two ways itself. Like, I wondered if she was trying to believe in maybe the relationship that used to be and maybe still is now, but maybe she wanted clarity, like, what is this? What are we? Are we lovers? Are we partners? Or are you a good friend of mine and maybe we still have a special connection, but is it not what it used to be? Is it not a full relationship, if you will, but at least we still have this special resonance and connection in these moments when day turns to night and we have this intimacy, which again can be understood on multiple levels. But of course there is that notion that your partner, your lover, in an ideal world, and maybe in a long-term sense more importantly, is your best friend also, is someone that you just relate to and you understand and you feel things similarly. So yes, you can have your passionate moments, yes, you can have romantic love, but you're also friends. So I didn't know if she was saying that dichotomy as in like, which one is it? Are we lovers or are we friends? Or if she was saying like, they're both part of why you make me feel this, that you are my great friend, my special friend, but we're also lovers in a more literal sense. So I do look forward to hearing people comment on this one. Once again, shout out to Mikey for sharing this expanded folder as we go through it. I do think there's some alternative mixes remaining as we go through. Again, I'll just continue on, and of course, Mikey will, shout out any particular aspects to keep in mind. And again, I get that maybe in some cases it's better to go into a song without too much information, which, fair to say, when I go through these different deep dives, sometimes I have a sense of, at least some context for a tune, sometimes I don't. And I think there's pros and cons to both. Obviously, if I don't know anything about a tune, there might be lines or concepts that I don't have the wherewithal to catch on a first listen. And then in other cases, it's enjoyable to just follow a narrative or a scene setting as someone who would have been listening to the track without any prior context when it was actually released. So again, I get that there's different opinions on that. We'll just continue to go through the deep dive more generally, and I will catch what I can, learn when I can, and again, shout out to Pascal and all the other people who've been commenting as we've gone through this deep dive. I do very much look forward to not only the remainder of this chapter, but knowing that they have this later chapter, which maybe some fans thought was weird or even, let's say, blasphemous relative to the earlier articulation of the group. Nevertheless, I'm still keen to hear the evolution of their sound going forward and to hear what the later articulation or arrangement of the band produced. So ultimately, I'm here for the Ace of Base journey. Hopefully you still are too. Let me know what you think of the tune, and I will see you next time. Peace.